You play with me, bro. You acting like you play with me, bro.
Oh, come on, get out the car. You gotta get out the car now.
We have a breaking news update just into the newsroom. Police telling us a shooting in Miami has turned deadly now. It happened around 2:30 this morning on Southeast 1st Street, right near South Miami Avenue. Miami police telling us they responded to the scene after getting word that somebody had been shot. When they arrived, they found a woman in her 20s shot. She was taken to Jackson Memorial Hospital Trauma Center where she was pronounced dead.
A South Florida woman killed inside an Uber during a night out in downtown Miami. The question now, what happened in that ride?
No bond for the pregnant woman accused of murdering another woman during an argument in an Uber last summer. A judge issued that ruling late this afternoon after a hearing today.
I do want justice. She took my daughter. She left 3 small babies behind. She needs to serve some time. She needs to do life.
What happens when an Uber ride becomes the scene of a fatal crime? 2 women, once strangers, are trapped inside an Escalade. Words are exchanged, tensions rise, then a gunshot. A mother of 3 is left lifeless, and the alleged shooter, a pregnant woman, now claims her unborn baby is unlawfully imprisoned. How did a night meant for celebration end in a fatal dispute? This is the story of Natalia Harrell and Gladys Yvette Borcela, the 2 women who became friends and later turned into enemies on the same day. 2 women, 1 Uber ride. A single gunshot that changed everything. Natalia Harrell, a 24-year-old pregnant woman, sits behind bars. Gladys Yvette Borcela, a 28-year-old mother of 3, lost her life in the backseat of a moving car. But here's the twist. The shooter, Natalia Harrell, insists it was self-defense. And now she's using her pregnancy as a shield against the law, as she is pleading with the judge to set her free, as her unborn baby does not deserve to be in jail. Could her unborn child become the key to her freedom? Or is this a desperate attempt to escape accountability? There are quite a lot of unanswered questions surrounding this case. Now, Natalia is not just fighting murder charges. She's arguing that her unborn baby, her innocent unborn baby, is being unlawfully detained. A claim unlike anything Florida's justice system has ever seen. This case has sparked outrage and debate across the legal system in the United States. Is this a bold legal move to protect the innocent, or a desperate attempt to manipulate the system? In this video, we're unpacking the story that has divided a city, sparked outrage, and set legal precedent in motion. Natalia Harrell says she acted to protect herself and her baby. But was the victim, Gladys Borcela, truly a threat, or simply in the wrong place at the wrong time? Stay with us as we unravel the shocking events that led to this deadly confrontation and uncover the unprecedented legal battle that could redefine justice itself. We will also explore the video footage captured inside the Escalade that night, and we will need your thoughts and contributions in the comment section. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, pour a glass of wine, or pop in your earbuds if you're at work, and settle in for this thrilling true crime story. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Let me know in the comments. Don't hesitate to join the conversation too. Your thoughts and input are a vital part of this story. Welcome to Mind Twist True Crime Stories, where all our stories are based on true crimes. Kindly support us by subscribing to this channel. Hit the notification bell icon so you won't miss any of our latest stories. Miami, Florida, known for its buzzing nightlife, cultural diversity, stunning beaches, a hub for tourism and international business, serves as the backdrop for this tragic murder case. However, beneath its tropical allure lies a growing concern: gun violence. Miami has seen an alarming rise in firearm-related incidents, with rates often exceeding state and national averages. In 2023 alone, the city reported hundreds of shootings, many of which impacted families and communities deeply. This case is a stark reminder of the urgent need to address gun violence in Miami, as lives are forever changed in its wake. Gladys Yvette Borcela, a 28-year-old mother of 3 whose life revolved around her children. She was vibrant, full of energy, and always the heart of the room. Her family described her as a woman who could light up even the darkest moments with her infectious laughter. Born and raised in Miami, Gladys lived most of her life in the heart of the city. She attended local schools, where her outgoing personality quickly made her a favorite among classmates. As she grew older, Her focus shifted to building a life for her 3 kids. Friends and family remember her as hardworking and resilient, a mother who would do anything to provide for her children. She had an OnlyFans account as a side hustle, and she loved dancing, which explains why she also went into exotic dancing, and she made quite a fortune from it, as it is seen in her social media handle, showcasing huge amounts of cash. Despite her dedication to her job and family, Gladys still made time for herself. On July 23, 2022, she was invited out for a night on the town by a mutual friend, a chance to unwind and enjoy a rare moment away from her responsibilities. That decision would lead her to an Uber ride she would never leave. Gladys's family was devastated. Her mother, in tears, described her daughter as the glue that held their lives together. She described her as the life of the party. Her 3 children, too young to fully understand, were left with a loss they could never prepare for. But here's where things take a turn. This wasn't a random act. This wasn't a stranger danger situation. The person responsible for Gladys's death was someone she met that very night. Someone she shared laughs with. Someone she shared a ride with. Someone who, for reasons we'll soon uncover, decided to end her life in the back of an Uber. It's a story of how quickly a normal night can turn into a living nightmare. Natalia Harrell, a 24-year-old woman now at the center of a case that has captivated the nation. A mother-to-be, accused of pulling the trigger during a deadly confrontation. Originally from Coconut Grove, Florida, Natalia had a reputation for being bold and outspoken. But it's her actions on July 23, 2022, that have overshadowed everything else about her life. That night, Natalia, 6 weeks pregnant at the time, joined a group for what should have been a night of fun. But as tensions rose during an Uber ride, a single moment changed everything. Now, she's facing second-degree murder charges for the death of Gladys Borcela. What makes her story even more complex? Natalia claims that her unborn child is being unlawfully detained, sparking legal debates and public outrage. Natalia Harrell's history wasn't without trouble. Just a few months before the fatal shooting, she had been arrested in April 2022 for battery, assault, and criminal mischief. Separate court records show these charges were tied to an incident that raised questions about her temper and emotional state. These prior arrests would soon take on a new significance as the events of July 2022 unfolded. Could her past behavior have played a role in the deadly confrontation with Gladys Borcela? Was there a pattern to the way Natalia handled conflict? Stay with us as we examine the critical moments leading up to the tragic shooting and how her past may have shaped the events of that night. Miami, a city synonymous with vibrant nightlife, a place where the energy is electric and the possibilities seem endless. But on the night of July 22, 2022, this backdrop of celebration would become the setting for a horrific tragedy. Natalia Harrell, 24 years old, was out with a group of friends. Their evening began at the iconic Clevelander Hotel and Bar on South Beach. The Clevelander, known for its lively atmosphere, was packed that Friday night. According to reports, a male friend in Natalia's group suggested inviting other women to join them. This casual suggestion, a simple desire for more company, would unknowingly set in motion a chain of events with devastating consequences. The group, using social media, contacted Gladys Borcela. They showed her profile to the men and they liked what they saw, and an invitation was extended. Gladys, a vibrant young mother, decided to join them later at another venue, the Urban, located in Miami's Overtown neighborhood. This wasn't a planned meeting weeks in advance. This was a spur-of-the-moment decision, a chance encounter that would tragically alter the course of several lives. The Urban, a popular spot known for its music and outdoor space, became the meeting point. Gladys joined the group, and initially everything seemed normal. There was drinking, dancing, typical Friday night activities. But witnesses later described a growing tension, a subtle shift in the atmosphere. Natalia, it was reported, became visibly agitated by Gladys's behavior, specifically her drinking and dancing. This frustration, this building unease, would be a critical element in what was to come. But here's the unsettling part. This wasn't just a case of simple annoyance, as Natalia's male friends were having more interest in Gladys as she was dancing and drinking. This didn't sit well with Natalia. Natalia's frustration escalated to the point where she allegedly sent a text message to the mutual friend she had with Gladys, urging them to get her girl under control, referring to Gladys. This text message, a seemingly small detail, hints at a deeper, more troubling dynamic at play. It suggests a possessiveness, a sense of control, and probably jealousy that would ultimately have fatal repercussions. The night was still young, but the stage was being set for a confrontation that would end in unimaginable violence. What could have possibly led to such a drastic reaction? What was Natalia thinking? Was she really blinded by jealousy? Jealous because Gladys was getting more attention than herself? The answers, as we'll see, are both shocking and heartbreaking. The party ended shortly after 2 a.m., and they decided to move to another location. They ordered a ride. The group then piled into a 2020 Cadillac Escalade Uber, headed towards the Icon Hotel and Residences in Miami. 7 passengers crammed into the vehicle. 4 men, 3 women, including Gladys and Natalia, and the driver. The close confines of the SUV would become the scene of a horrifying crime. The initial moments of the ride were likely unremarkable. But soon, the tension that had been building at the Urban erupted into a full-blown argument between Gladys and Natalia, who were both sitting at the back of the Escalade. Witnesses described it as a heated verbal exchange, with both women exchanging harsh words and insults. The exact nature of the argument remains unclear, but the intensity was undeniable. The confined space of the vehicle amplified the tension, turning it into a pressure cooker. Then, Natalia made a chilling move. She climbed from the back row of the Escalade to the front seat, turning to face Gladys and the other passengers. This wasn't just a change of seating position. It was a deliberate act, a power play. It was a way of asserting dominance, of creating a physical barrier between herself and the others, taking a nice position to enable her to carry out her dark intentions. And then she said it. Words that would forever haunt those who heard them. "You don't want this. You don't want me to go in my purse," she said. These words, spoken with anger, were a clear threat, a warning. Everyone in that car knew what she meant. Everyone except perhaps Gladys, who may not have fully grasped the danger she was in. Then, in a flash, the unthinkable happened. In the video obtained, Gladys was seen trying to hit her, and Natalia reached into her purse, pulled out a small black pistol, and fired a single shot. The sound of the gunshot shattered the silence of the night, forever changing the lives of everyone involved. The Uber driver immediately pulled over, the car coming to an abrupt halt on Southeast 1st Avenue. Why would someone carry a gun while out partying? Panic ensued. Everyone except Gladys scrambled out of the vehicle, fleeing the scene in terror. Gladys was left behind, gravely wounded, alone in the back of the Escalade. The Uber, now a crime scene, sat silently on the street, a stark reminder of the violence that had just taken place. But what happened next is even more disturbing. Within minutes, police arrived at the scene. They found Gladys inside the Uber, suffering from a gunshot wound to her torso and left arm. The urgency was clear. Every second counted. Paramedics rushed her to Jackson Memorial Hospital's Ryder Trauma Center, desperately trying to save her life. But it was too late. Gladys Borcela was pronounced dead. The area around the Uber was quickly cordoned off with crime scene tape. Investigators began their work, meticulously documenting the scene, searching for any clues that could explain what had just happened. The Uber itself became a crucial piece of evidence, its interior holding the secrets of the final moments of Gladys's life. But with 6 people fleeing the scene, the immediate priority became identifying and locating them. Who were these individuals who had abandoned Gladys? What did they know? Were they witnesses, or were they involved in some other way? The police had a murder on their hands and a group of people who had vanished into thin air. Here's where the investigation takes an unexpected turn. While the other passengers fled, they didn't disappear completely. One of the women in the group would eventually provide crucial information to the police, through her attorney, information that would directly implicate Natalia Harrell in Gladys's murder. This wasn't a clean getaway. This wasn't a perfectly executed crime. The truth was about to surface. The question is, how did this witness come forward, and what exactly did she reveal? The answers are coming. With Gladys Borcela tragically gone, the Miami-Dade Police Department launched a full-scale investigation. The abandoned Uber, a 2020 Cadillac Escalade, became the focal point. Inside, investigators meticulously collected evidence, shell casing, fingerprints, and other forensic materials. But the most crucial piece of evidence came from within the vehicle itself: surveillance footage. This wasn't just any Uber ride. This vehicle was equipped with an interior camera, a silent witness to the horrific events that had unfolded. The footage captured the entire argument between Gladys and Natalia, Natalia's move to the front seat, her chilling words, and most importantly, the moment she pulled the trigger. This footage was irrefutable. It provided a clear, visual record of the crime, leaving no doubt about what had transpired. But the footage alone wasn't enough. The police needed to identify the individuals involved. This is where the witness we mentioned earlier becomes crucial. One of the women who had been in the Uber that night came forward to the police. Her testimony corroborated what the surveillance footage showed and, crucially, identified Natalia Harrell as the shooter. This witness, whose identity has been protected, provided a crucial link connecting Natalia directly to the crime. This wasn't a random act of violence. This wasn't a mystery with no answers. The combination of the surveillance footage and the witness testimony painted a clear picture of what happened inside that Uber. Natalia Harrell, the 24-year-old who had been out with friends who had met Gladys just hours before, was now the prime suspect in a murder investigation. The police now had a name, a face, and a motive. The pieces of the puzzle were coming together rapidly. Natalia Harrell was no longer just a person who had been present at the scene. She was the focus of the investigation. The evidence pointed directly at her. But the story doesn't end there. With Natalia identified, the next step was to find her, to bring her in for questioning, to hold her accountable for her actions. The search for Natalia Harrell was on. And what the police uncovered about her past would add another disturbing layer to this already tragic story. With Natalia Harrell identified as the prime suspect, the Miami-Dade Police Department moved swiftly. It wasn't a long search. Natalia was located and taken into custody. The arrest marked a significant step in the pursuit of justice for Gladys Borcela. The initial shock of the murder now gave way to the slow, grinding process of the legal system. Natalia Harrell was formally charged with second-degree murder. This charge in Florida signifies a killing that is done with malice aforethought, but without premeditation. It suggests a spur-of-the-moment act of violence, a killing done in the heat of the moment, but with a conscious disregard for human life. In simpler terms, it wasn't planned, but it was intentional. Following her arrest, Natalia appeared in court for her initial hearing. The details of the hearing are public record. She pleaded not guilty to the charge. This plea sets the stage for a trial, a legal battle that would determine Natalia's fate. The judge ordered her to be held without bond, meaning she would remain in jail awaiting trial. This decision highlights the severity of the charges and the strength of the evidence against her. But here's a crucial detail that adds another layer to this story. Natalia Harrell had a prior arrest record. According to court filings, she had been arrested just months before, in April, on charges of battery, assault, and criminal mischief. This revelation raises serious questions. Was this violence a pattern of behavior? Was this a tragic incident waiting to happen? Did the system fail to prevent this tragedy? The legal proceedings were just beginning, and the trial would bring forward even more disturbing details. What would the trial reveal? We'll find out next. Natalia Harrell's defense took an unexpected turn as she had two defense attorneys on side. The father of her unborn child hired one for their unborn child, while she had another one representing her. In the face of the murder charges, she claimed it was a case of self-defense. According to Natalia, Gladys lunged at her during their argument in the Uber. Fear for her own life and the life of her unborn child pushed her to act. But was that enough to justify what happened next? Natalia's attorneys introduced an argument that turned heads: fetal rights, the claim that her unborn child's safety was at risk and that this was the reason she pulled the trigger. This legal defense raised questions no one expected. If the fetus had rights, does that change how we view self-defense? What does it mean for the legal system when a person's actions are justified by the potential harm to an unborn child? The case was no longer just about murder. It had become a fight over the interpretation of life and rights. And as Natalia's defense took shape, the stakes only got higher. Could this argument be enough to change the course of the trial? What will the jury decide? The legal battle is just beginning, and the consequences could go beyond this case. The concept of fetal rights is not new in the U.S. legal system, but its application in criminal cases has always been controversial. In Florida, where Natalia Harrell's case is being tried, fetal rights laws are a part of the state's legal framework. However, they typically revolve around issues of harm or violence against a fetus in cases of assault or homicide. Now the question, can fetal rights be invoked to justify a deadly act? Natalia's defense hinges on this very point. But here's the dilemma. Should unborn children have legal protection in criminal cases, even when it comes to defending the mother? The line between protecting a fetus and upholding justice for the victim becomes increasingly blurry. Does the life of the unborn child excuse the taking of another life? Public opinion is divided. On one hand, some argue that protecting the rights of an unborn child should be paramount, even in cases like this. Others contend that invoking fetal rights in a situation like this is a dangerous precedent, undermining the responsibility of those who take another's life. Experts weigh in on the case, each presenting a different angle on the strategy being used by Natalia's defense. Is it a clever move or a desperate attempt to escape justice? Let us know in the comments. Do you think fetal rights should play a role in self-defense cases? Months later, the unborn baby's attorney, William M. Norris, is arguing his client's unborn child, and Harrell should be immediately released from jail because the fetus has not been charged with a criminal offense. In the midst of this controversial case, Natalia Harrell's defense filed a habeas corpus petition, demanding the release of her unborn child from detention. The argument? Her pregnancy should grant her the right to be free from incarceration for the sake of the child. The request was both shocking and unprecedented. But would it be enough to sway the court? The prosecution quickly shot back, arguing that the case was about a mother who had taken another woman's life, and no legal loophole, no matter how creative, should release her from facing justice. The evidence against Natalia was clear: a fatal shooting in a moving Uber, with witnesses and video footage. The prosecution contended that, no matter the circumstances, the law had to prevail. On the other side, Natalia's defense team pressed for her release on medical grounds. Her pregnancy, they argued, posed a serious risk to both her health and the health of the fetus. The defense emphasized the necessity of her freedom to ensure her well-being and the survival of her unborn child. But would this be enough to sway a judge? These petitions for release got Gladys's mother furious.
I'm gonna let you know, a mother's cry or a mother's tears shouldn't be messed with.
In a social media post she wrote, Natalia Harrell killed my daughter Gladys Yvette Borcela on July 23, 2022, and now is trying to get a get-out-of-jail-free card. Where is the justice in Miami, Florida-Dade County? I will not fall, I will not fail, till this is resolved. However, Miami-Dade judge has denied bond for the pregnant woman whose unborn baby is involved in court battle.
No bond for the pregnant woman accused of murdering another woman during an argument in an Uber last summer. A judge issued that ruling late this afternoon after a hearing today. It's a case that has gained a lot of attention recently after the suspect's attorney petitioned the court to have the unborn child released. NBC 6's Alyssa Hyman was in the hearing and breaks down exactly what happened.
I'm glad she's staying behind bars. She don't deserve to be out.
The family of Gladys Borcela leaving the courthouse Tuesday afternoon breathing a sigh of relief after a judge ruled that the woman accused of her murder, Natalia Harrell, will not be released from jail on bond.
The total disregard and the flight risk that we find, at least at this time, I do find that there are no conditions of release that would be reasonably sufficient to protect the community from the risk of physical harm to persons.
This is a case of imperfect self-defense. You don't bring a gun to a fist fight.
Prosecutors arguing the force was not justified when they say Harrell shot and killed Borcela during an argument in an Uber last summer. The incident captured on the Uber driver's surveillance camera, a key piece of evidence in the case. Harrell's defense requested the Arthur hearing, hoping to convince a judge that Harrell, who's about 8 months pregnant, should be released from jail until her trial. The defense has said that she was acting in self-defense, telling us in a previous interview,
she was pregnant. She knew she was pregnant. She was fearful that this woman was going to do something to her. She launched herself towards my client, and my client reacted.
But the state fought that. The state called the lead homicide detective on the case to walk us through that critical video inside the Uber. The state arguing Harrell had pulled her gun out and had it in between her legs even before they say the victim made any sort of movement towards Harrell.
In the process of her coming to the front, she's grabbing her purse. And while she's grabbing her purse, she opens the flap, because you can see it in the video, and she reaches inside the purse. Once she sits, the video camera is behind her, but you can see that the gun is flashed. You see a black firearm, and then the black firearm is placed between her legs.
And as for the arguments on the prenatal care and the unborn child, there is a hearing scheduled for that happening this Friday afternoon.
As the legal battle rages on, the stakes could not be higher. Will the court prioritize the mother's rights to medical care, or will the murder charge stand firm, forcing Natalia to face the consequences of her actions? What do you think? Should a pregnancy affect a criminal's fate? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. The state attorneys wrote that Harrell would be transferred to the infirmary once she reaches 36 weeks pregnant, and would be taken to the hospital to deliver the baby. She later gave birth to a baby boy at a hospital, after which she returned to jail.
Our case involving a woman who fought to be released from jail while she was pregnant. We've learned she's given birth.
Well, this is a case we've followed very closely since the woman was arrested for murder last summer. NBC6's Heather Walker is live in Miami with more on this one. Heather.
Ladies, Natalia Harrell gave birth on Sunday. She was brought here to Jackson Memorial Hospital. We're told mom and baby are both healthy. The baby is now with family while mom is back in jail custody. As you said, we have been covering this case since it made headlines when Harrell took legal action to get out on bond under the argument that because she was pregnant, her unborn baby was unlawfully being held in jail. That was the argument. The judge dismissed that argument. Her lawyers were considering to take the case to the federal level, but now that baby is born and is not in custody, so that argument no longer viable. Harrell was arrested after police say she shot and killed another woman while in an Uber in Miami last July. Police say the two got in an argument. Harrell's attorney said she feared for her life and her unborn child when she fired that gun. Now, that criminal case will continue to move through the courts unaffected by the birth, but a new motion to disqualify the judge, Michelle Delancey, has been filed, claiming that she made public comments about stand your ground law. The stand your ground law saying that the law was a mistake, and that is one of the arguments that her defense is using in this criminal case. This case expected to be back in court in September. We'll continue to follow this.
The outcome of Natalia's trial remains to be seen. If convicted of second-degree murder, she faces a significant prison sentence, potentially up to life in prison. The trial's outcome could also have implications for legal precedents, particularly concerning cases involving pregnant defendants and the legal standing of unborn children. The tragic death of Gladys Borcela is a devastating loss for her family and loved ones. The legal proceedings against Natalia Harrell are ongoing, and the pursuit of justice continues. But regardless of the trial's outcome, the fact remains that a young mother's life was tragically cut short, leaving behind 3 children who will now grow up without their mother. This case serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of violence and the profound impact it has on individuals, families, and society as a whole. Gladys's mother, in the midst of unimaginable grief, created a GoFundMe page to help with funeral expenses and to provide for her grandchildren. Her words, raw with emotion, paint a vivid picture of the pain the family is enduring. She described Gladys as the life of the party and a beautiful soul to be around. She wrote, "This is the most devastating news a mother can receive. My daughter's life was taken away from her, and she did not deserve this. I don't even know how to tell my grandbabies that someone took their mother away from us." These words, shared publicly in the face of immense personal pain, underscore the profound loss that this family has suffered. Seeing those words, reading her mother's plea for help, it's a stark reminder that behind every crime statistic, there are real people, real lives shattered. There are children who will grow up with a gaping hole in their hearts, a constant reminder of the mother they lost too soon.
A South Florida woman killed inside an Uber during a night out in downtown Miami. The question now, what happened in that ride?
Tonight, family and friends came together to honor that victim. NBC6's Ryan Nelson joins us live from Miami with the very latest on this. Ryan.
Well, this family is in disbelief, and they're demanding answers about why the victim was shot inside of that Uber.
We love her. We're always going to love her forever.
Family and friends of 28-year-old Gladys Borcela holding a vigil Wednesday in the spot where she was shot and killed inside an Uber while in downtown Miami Saturday. A woman the victim knew personally, 24-year-old Natalia Harrell, now facing second-degree murder. Loved ones leaning on one another for strength and bringing dozens of balloons in Borcela's favorite color, purple, to the scene of the shooting. The victim's mother speaking out despite the pain.
She was loved. As many people here showing it right here in this spot right now. Her kids do miss her. This is what hurts me the most too.
Witnesses say Borcela and a group of friends were spending a night on the town in South Beach Saturday. They told police the night was going well until the party moved to downtown Miami. There, an argument between the two women escalated. Police say a gunshot went off inside the SUV and the Uber stopped. 6 people got out and ran away, except for the victim, who was later pronounced dead at the hospital.
I do want justice. She took my daughter. She left 3 small babies behind. She needs to serve some time. She needs to do life.
Wednesday's vigil, a celebration of Borcela's life and legacy, her sister tells NBC6.
There's a lot of people that is not familiar faces, but they came and they showed my sister love. That's what matters. And that's all that matters. No one came here on any type of grudge.
And the suspect's attorney told NBC6 that it was too early to comment on this case.
Gladys's mother has become a powerful voice in the fight for justice for her daughter. In the face of unimaginable grief, she has channeled her pain into action, seeking accountability and demanding answers. On the other side of this tragedy is Natalia Harrell's family. While nothing can excuse her actions, it's important to acknowledge the complex situation they now face. There have been claims and reports suggesting inadequate medical attention for both Natalia and her unborn child during her incarceration. These claims have sparked debate about the rights of incarcerated pregnant women and the responsibilities of correctional facilities to ensure proper medical care. It brings up a difficult question. Even when someone is accused of a terrible crime, do they still have the right to basic health care, especially when it involves an unborn child? We extend our deepest condolences to the family of Gladys Yvette Borcela. Our hearts go out to her children, loved ones, and all those who are mourning her loss. May her memory live on, bringing strength and comfort during this difficult time. The story of Gladys Borcela is a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the devastating consequences of violence. A night out, a spur-of-the-moment decision, a heated argument, a series of events that culminated in tragedy. Gladys, a mother of 3, a woman described as the life of the party, is now gone. Her children are left to grow up without their mother's love and guidance. Is Natalia Harrell fighting for her unborn child or for herself? And amidst the legal battles and ethical debates, will justice for Gladys Borcela ever truly prevail? Now, we want to hear from you. Do you think Natalia's legal strategy is a genuine fight for her child's rights? Or is it a calculated move to avoid responsibility? Share your thoughts in the comments below. This story is one that truly deserves your attention. A like and a share can help amplify the voices of those affected by senseless violence in our communities. By sharing these stories, we not only honor the victims, but also fight for the justice they deserve. Let's work together to make sure these stories are heard and that no one is forgotten. And if you are looking for more true crime stories with mystery, thrilling suspense, justice for victims, and understanding human behaviors, hit the subscribe button now and turn on the notification bell icon below so you would be among the first to know when we put out a new true crime story. Don't hesitate to check out our other videos as well. Join the conversation in the comments, and together, we'll explore how we can make a difference in our society and ensure justice for victims. Thanks for watching till the end, and until next time, stay safe.